Welcome to the Strategy Mob Podcast. Tune in for everything you need to know to stay in the know regarding the automotive industry. Here's your host, Jason Harris.
Hey, what's going on, Podcast Nation? It is Jason Harris here, and thank you for joining me another episode of Strategy with Jason. I have a very special guest today. It's funny because I feel like we've been literally talking to each other for like the last 72 hours straight on Clubhouse, and if you don't know what Clubhouse is, you're just not cool with school. So I have the one, the only, Mr. Steve Roessler in the house. Steve, say what up to the audience.
What's going on, people?
You know, now Steve has a lot of things that he can claim to fame, but I think one of the most famous things about Steve is he's the only person in the industry that takes hair advice from Jim Carrey. So Steve, this is wow.
and Jason, you take it from Kojak.
That's exactly it, right? I actually like to tell people this is what happens when you get into the industry. You know, I had, when I first started, I had this amazing flowing, locks of hair, and then I got into the car business. I had some kids, got married, and hair disappeared.
I would do the same thing. I would if I started losing my hair, I would go bald. I mean, that's what I'm going to go down the Mr. Clean. I would go bald. All right.
Hey, Steve, for everybody out there that's watching and listening right now and don't know who you are and kind of the story of how you got into the industry, I think it's kind of fun to kick off every podcast with a little origin story. So what is the origin story that is Steve Roessler?
Oh my gosh, man, that's going to take up the whole time. I'm 49 years old, been in the car business for 6 years now. I've been in 3 different industries though, which is kind of fun. I was in engineering sales for about 6 years in the early part of my career. And one of my buddies told me to get into medical sales when pharmaceutical sales was hot. And I got into that and graduated to what is the kind of like the, where you want to go if you're in medical. I wanted to be in devices. So I wound up working for a company called Medtronic, which was completely my dream job, getting in there, being in the OR and treating patients for neuropathic pain, deep brain stimulations for Parkinson's, yada, yada, yada. Oh. Great opportunity. Saw a lot of amazing things. And, that was actually a point where I kind of learned in my career that working for the biggest company is not the best thing in the world. So I was let go, and I thought I was a stud. And from that, I wound up working for my first startup company in the medical field and worked for that company for about 5-6 years, got to another startup. And lo and behold, I love CRM. I will say as a diehard sales guy, and I used CRM in engineering. I used it in medical. And that's what I always say, put me on the map in any sales job that I did was using my CRM. And my buddy up the street said, "Hey, man, I'm building the CRM. I want you to take a look at it and join the automotive industry." I was like, "Are you freaking kidding me? I can walk in any hospital across the country. I can walk right in there. And, you want me to get in the car industry?" And 6 years later, I'm telling you what, it's the best thing I've ever done. And now I'm a part owner of the company, which is great. And just promoting something that I believe in is really CRM and helping salespeople grow their business and really teaching dealerships how CRM is the heart of their business to prosper, to take it to the next level. So that's a little bit about Steve Roessler from basically 26 years of basically selling. So it's been a wild ride. Learned a lot.
I love the fact like so often I hear these stories how people kind of fumble their way into the industry. I usually find people get into the industry of one of 3 ways, right? They were born into it, they fumbled their way into it, or they were like me, they got conned into it. But I mean, that's crazy, man. You had this amazing, career in medical, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna go try this thing called automotive. But we are so glad that you did decide to make that decision because your insights into CRM and just your passion for the industry and just for dealerships in general just shows so much in the way that you talk and communicate with everybody. And you know what? Like I remember my introduction to my first CRM. It was one of these and a pen. And I actually do remember the manager actually handing me this book and says that you're going to.
That's right. Everybody always said the Stuka card, right?
Yes. It's like you're going to live and die what's in here.
Had that. Hey, and way back when, I used a program called ACT. I used Goldmine. I used Leapfrog. I mean, look, I've used a lot of CRMs outside of automotive. But at the end of the day, I mean, look, I always think about the opportunities I lost if I wouldn't have a CRM and if I had a notebook. If I ever had a notebook again, I'd jump off of a bridge because I just know I'm losing opportunities and I'm not following up.
And you know what's cool, and I've heard you say this before, and I'm a big proponent of as well, is that you know what, a tool is only as good as how well someone's actually going to use it. It's yes, we can make amazing technology, but if you don't have the person behind you utilizing that technology in the way that it was intended to, it never goes anywhere. And that always kind of seems to be that's why the whole training and coaching industry is kind of built on is the fact that people out there don't utilize their tools well enough. But I think this kind of goes into kind of our first topic today around engagement strategies, because it seems to be such a hot topic right now. It's like, I got this great tool. It's telling me all this great information about the customer, but I need to engage with them. And it just seems like it just kind of putters off from there.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about engagement strategies. First, how do you define what an engagement strategy is?
Well, it's the only way. It's two-way communication. I mean, it's very simple. I mean, just because you send an email and they opened it is not engagement. Newsflash. The only thing it means is you got a good email. So that is not engagement. If you leave a message, obviously that is not engagement. So only when a customer does throw the ball back to you via text, email, they reply with your video. It's just, you have to have a dialogue with the customer by definition of engagement. And so, yeah, so one of the things, like, as I guess I'm going to backtrack, because the only reason why I got into automotive was probably the tool that we're using today is video.
Yes.
And so when we started up DriveCentric, it was the first CRM out there to do personalized video in the CRM, both on the desktop and the mobile. And I just looked at this product, and I mean, because I'm a diehard CRM guy in medical and engineering, and I was like, man, if we could do this in the medical industry or in engineering and do video, man, I would kill it. There's not one CRM out there that I know of that has video built into the platform.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got into automotive, video was just a huge thing for me to brand myself. I mean, we talked about hair earlier. So yeah, I mean, when I go to a show and I'm sending personalized video out to dealers all across the country, how cool is it? It's like, oh man, I know you. You're that hair guy. You're Jimmy Neutron, and whatever you call me, at least you know me. And that's all I care about. So the way you get engagement, obviously with email, phone calls, text, video, all the forms of engagement we need to figure out the customer's preferred form of communication. And I think jumping in automotive, the thing that I'm so passionate about when it comes to engagement is you have to adapt to the times. And right now, I mean, I got the Karate Kid in the background, right, Jason?
Yep,
we're talking about this. Karate Kid was in 1984, you said? Was that right?
1984 was the first
we
Karate.
still communicate like it's 1984, except nobody is paging, Jason Harris. If I can have a paging system tied to my CRM, would we use that today? Probably not. Newsflash.
I bet you had a couple pagers, didn't you? You did have a couple. You have a box of pagers sitting around in the house somewhere.
Oh my God, no, I don't. But I used to have a pager when I was in the medical.
You would actually get a kick out of this because we're on the topic of video. So last night, my wife says, "Can you come help me clean up the basement a little bit?" Right? And you have these monster boxes of just like tech, just equipment, right? Just old stuff, old cameras, all this stuff. I'm going through it, and I find my Kodak flip cam. You remember the flip cam? And it's so funny because it was the first customer video I ever recorded was in early 2008 with my less than 1 megapixel. It might have been just 1 megapixel flip cam that I had to manually upload to YouTube at a 360p resolution. And then I forwarded off, and I remember it. So I remember it because it was on it was on a Chevy Cobalt, I think was the video that I did it on, and I set it up on this tripod. I was yelling at the top of my voice because the microphone sucked at this thing, right? But I remember the customer coming in goes, "That was amazing," and I sold the car. First video I ever did in the industry as a salesperson, right? Nobody was even doing video at the time, and I remember the reason I got into video was because I remember we had this old phone trainer that would come in. Remember the trainers come in, teach you how to talk on the phone? And he was doing this up on the board. He's like, "Look, if you can take this many more, all right, opportunities and get them into a conversation, then your probability is here." And I'm like, you know what? And I was the only person at the time that was kind of handling these internet people,
Yeah.
internet people is what they were kind of called, at the time. And I was like, well, okay, so that's cool. So if I do that, and that's what propelled me into video. And
Right.
it's amazing. That was 2008, and it blows my mind that today, all right, with the new technology and the apps and the CRM systems that we have, that there's still excuses why the hell they can't do video. You don't feel
Oh,
this? I feel I get angry yourself.
Oh, I'm totally angry. I mean, and look, we right now, because of what we just came out, I don't have to say the word of what we just came out of this past year because I'm tired of saying the word. But I mean, like with Facebook, I mean, there was an article out there that said that 50% of people increased from, I think it was from February to March, watching Facebook Live videos.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
So video is that norm stream of communication that people are in fact doing and watching. So we're just not adjusting, and the market is telling us, or what we just went through is telling us we need to do it. We need to listen to what the customers' channels of communication are and their preferred form of communication, and just start doing it. The biggest excuse I get, Jason, is I look bad on video. I don't want to shit my mouth. I look bad on video. Well, you know what? I always say you don't look better in person either. So, if somebody's going to come to your showroom and that's your excuse, you better go work at Hardee's, or something else, or, In-N-Out Burger. I don't know. But it doesn't make sense to me why, if I'm okay to work with a customer in the showroom, I can't put myself on video and just humanize the car buying experience. At the end of the day, this is the stat when it comes to it, Jason, and you were obviously in the car business, so you obviously know this, right? We send an email, right? You send out an email, you sent out these terrible, terrible, terrible templates, which we'll talk about, I'm sure, on this. But 7% of what you say is in that email. Have you ever sent an email to somebody and it was taken out of context?
Oh, 100% all the time.
All the time, but we keep doing it.
Yep.
We define insanity. Now, your manager would say, Jason, get him on the phone. Get him on the phone. You know why? Because 38% on top of your 7% is your tone. So if you're saying words and you're communicating with tone, proper tone, like I'm going to have deflections all throughout this because that's all I do. But now I'm communicating 45%, or 40, and I have a better chance of you getting in the showroom. But then I'm going to say, get him in the showroom, Jason, get him in the showroom, get him in the showroom. And you know why? Because we're stellar in this showroom because we're communicating at 100%. So that's what video is doing.
That's what drives me nuts. Is it's the same process, right? Like we're trained. We train our staff when they're in the showroom to humanize. That this is our opportunity, because when they come in through the door, they think we're a bunch of robots. All right. So, your first goal right out of the gate is to connect with them person to person, right? And start humanizing your conversation. And that has everything to do with body language, tonality, eye contact. I mean, this is, what's crazy is that it's not necessarily a new process. It's the same process we have. All right. We're just attaching a piece of technology to it and connecting with that customer at a person-to-person level before they come in versus having to do it when they come in. It saves everybody time. Sorry, anyways, I digress. Go ahead.
Well, here's what I'm always saying, Jason. Like, coming outside in the medical industry and then getting into the automotive, one of the things that was a huge challenge, and I had to connect with the car business because I never sold a car. Okay. But yet in the medical industry, I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV, right? So that is, I'm glad you laughed, Jason. But no, but here's the thing though, is, I was a patient advocate when I was speaking to my doctors or my pharmacists. I was always, making sure that my patients were getting the right therapeutic result with whatever I was selling at the time. I jumped into automotive, and again, it took me a long time. It was probably about a year and a half before I really found my niche, and I became basically a customer advocate. So I started studying the consumer shopping behavior. And if you go out there and just look at the customers, and like who's texting and things of that nature, look at the millennials and Gen Zs, which is the largest buying customer out there in the market. And I mean, my gosh, if you ask your, I don't know, Jason, if you have kids, but did you ever yell up if you have a 2-story house, yell down, say, pizza's here?
You know what? Now we actually use our Amazon Echo devices. So I actually yell at Alexa to send that message. Gotta
That's
love tech, right?
You can do that.
Efficiencies.
But you can't do that because the kids have got their AirPods in. They're watching some video, so you have to text them.
Exactly.
So it's just amazing how. And then those millennials and Gen Zs won't pick up the phone. And there's studies out there on why millennials and Gen Zs don't pick up the phone because of the anxiety of being able to think on their feet. It's a different dynamic when you start studying different generations of people
100%.
and how we have to really change our communication. So when I got in automotive, that's what I just wanted to be passionate about, is helping dealers understand more about the consumer. And if we just go out there and think, man, technology is out there, the customers are even telling us in many different articles out there, I know what I want. I just want a better buying experience. So I always tell everybody in the dealership world, pretend you're a restaurant and the tip is selling the car. That's it.
That truly is it. And I'm so glad that you kind of brought up, kind of language, right? Because we were kind of talking about this earlier before we started recording today, right? It comes back to the syntax of how we connect with them. I would love to start seeing within a CRM, kind of a different syntax to match to the audience, at least for the data points that we actually have on them, especially if they're existing customers. Look, when they're a new customer, I understand you may not have enough data information on to alter your syntax to the individual. But man, if you have that data on that customer, look, you know when their date of birth is, if they're male, they're female, you know this age. But then our language doesn't change, and I see that, and that bugs me. And I think what even bugs me even more so right now is, given everything that's going on during the 12 months, how much dealerships templates, and both of us hate that. But the syntax of their language hasn't changed or updated at all, and I feel like it's just killing these dealerships. And I would love to get your thoughts.
Oh. Well, yeah, no, I mean, and first of all, when it comes to the data on communication, I don't know if you were going in that direction, but that's one of the things we wanted to improve upon. So at least in our tool, what we're able to do is if the customer prefers texting, we're actually highlighting that to the salesperson that this customer is a texter. This customer's never replied to your emails. They never picked up the phone. So we do highlight that. And we also do communicate to like the social media streams. So if the customer's like email, their phone number are tied into their LinkedIn or Facebook, you can easily get to know the customer. If they have 3 kids, no wonder why they went third row seating, right, Jason?
Exactly.
I mean, so we're really trying to connect the dots. So there is no, if you and I know that, I'm a hockey guy, you could quit the small talk and I could have a hockey background back there. And all of a sudden it's like, oh man, you're a hockey fan. And all of a sudden, what do? It's not about the car. It's about the connection. And that's what I always try to do. That's why I got the Karate Kid up here, just because it is kind of fun. It's not like, it's fun for anybody who kind of wants to connect up and be addicted to Cobra Kai.
Do you think that's something that we could see in the future of CRM systems? Is the ability to kind of enter in more of a unique profile, to that individual based on the information I know? Like, I know you're a hockey fan. That I should be able to kind of put that into my CRM so I can use that data, during my conversation. If I know that you're a single mom with 2 kids at home, putting that in there, I think just allows us to connect with someone in a way when we actually have some of that information. What are your thoughts on having that data within the CRM?
Well, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, there's no CRM that does exactly all that. However, in any CRM, you have a customer profile notes. Nobody uses it in the auto industry. I will tell you, in every other industry, you do. Because when I go on site, if I want to talk Toronto hockey or Maple Leafs or whatever, I just kind of know, I can ask the customer, hey man, did you watch a game the other night? Or maybe I'll just look at the scoreboard, and it brings the demeanor and the whole conversation down to where it's not all business. And that's a sales tactic.
And we do it in person all the time. We do it in person all the time, but for some reason we forget all of what we were trained. We forget all about our training at the showroom once we get on the phone or once we get into an email conversation or a text conversation.
And to go back to your original question now on it was about the templates.
Mhm,
Okay.
yes.
And I will tell you, one of the things, when we convert somebody that's over from whatever CRM to Drive, the first thing we do is we try to get rid of their templates. Now, we do have artificial intelligence that's in our CRM. It's true machine learning AI. So it does replace a lot of the templates, and it can talk to customers about their trade. It can even go as far as schedule an appointment. It's really cool. So a lot of our stores actually get rid of a lot of their templates, and we try to encourage them to always know where's the customer at in the buying behavior of buying a car today. And 90% of customers buy a car in 30 days. And 80% of those customers are in the first 14 days.
Mhm.
So I'm always trying to say it's a tweeting world we live in. I always teach the less is more strategy. So if I can't even imagine, my wife, if I said, hey, can we get married again? And we're going to not handwrite labels. We're going to just, we're going to put label maker, and I'm going to type these all out so I don't have to handwrite and get carpal tunnel in my hand again. It wouldn't fly. It's got to be personalized. So that's what, texting or sending a personalized email 2 sentences long is plenty.
It really is.
The other thing too, wait, there's one more thing, because this is a great analogy. I came up with this the other day. Have you ever watched the movie Hoosiers with Gene Hackman?
Oh, yes. Great movie.
Okay. Great movie. I'm a Gene Hackman fan, but in that movie, do you remember when he's in the locker room and he's teaching the boys how many passes before you shoot the ball?
Yes, I do.
3 passes. So the thing that you go out there and you secret shop stores, and the thing that always comes back is, what time can you come in? What time can you come in?
Let's
what
get
time
married.
Can you come in? So it's almost like I want a rule of 3 passes, conversations before you ask for the appointment.
I love that. And then, you know what, the cool thing is when we keep it simple like that, and our conversations are not these 2 paragraph long templated where just, look, here's the thing. Like, customers aren't stupid. All right. If a consumer smells a template, they know it's a template, and they instantaneously just look. What it says to them is, you just don't give a shit enough about me as a consumer to just literally write out 2 sentences, because that's kind of what I was expecting. Instead, I got these 2 paragraphs, but that sets the stage for that so important thing called the experience. And I know that's kind of the next step or next direction I want to take kind of with our conversation here is, how do we create that experience, and how does tech like the CRM, generate that experience? And sometimes that experience literally starts at that one piece of communication. But how do you see kind of that, how we can create that utilizing the technology that we have?
Well, yeah. I mean, like, for example, the thing I always preach right now is, and we talked about earlier, is the video aspect, the texting. Texting is the number one form of communication. So in our platform, one of the things that's really cool that we added was the use of emojis and, believe it or not, GIFs.
Oh, I like that. Yes.
All right. So 1 billion GIFs are done daily, and I love to teach the less is more strategy. So to your point, the reason why people have the templates is because, let's face it, people can't spell, right? So let's just say it the way it is. And so we're going to talk about video. I don't know about you, Jason, but the last time that I thought about it, there's no spell check with video.
Nope.
Even
though there probably should be on some of them.
And, in technology, there's voice recognition. So if you speak clearly like you do today in technology, you have voice recognition. You don't have to fat finger type anything. So, when it comes to the experience, we got to think about the user experience to give the customer's experience what they want. And so that's what the dealership's got to look at is, okay, what do we need? What do we have to arm our salespeople with to make sure we give the customer the right experience? And that's where typically it falls short. In my humble opinion, okay, and I'm not saying this because we're the latest and greatest CRM that's out there, but the reality is all these platforms that are out there, Jason, were built 20 years ago, okay? They were all great 20 years ago, just like a flip phone was, okay? But how many flip phones do you see at the dealership?
Oh, exactly. You just don't.
And that's what I mean. And that's what I always tell every dealership is, do you have the right tools? And that could be anything. It's not just saying CRM. I know CRM is a huge undertaking. So believe me, it's got to be for the right dealership, though, that appreciates and listens to what the customers are saying. And that's what I just tell everybody is, you could do all this stuff in other CRMs. I mean, that we're talking about, video, you may be buying a separate tool outside the platform and you got to plug in an email subject line. It's just hard. But then you say, well, why aren't my guys shooting video? Because there's too many steps. It's not easy, and technology has in fact evolved. So they have to be
Yeah,
willing.
you don't have to use the
consider
flip cam anymore, right?
What's that?
I don't have to use my flip cam anymore. You know what's funny?
No.
Going back to kind of that flip cam thing. Before, so in 2007, I think that's when I got my first iPhone, right? And boy, that changed the way it looks today and where it was then was different. And I'm horrible, by the way, at spelling. Just absolutely atrocious. You ask any one of my employees, and literally, I think my ability to type and spell kind of stopped at like grade 5, because that's how good I am at it. So I remember when I got my first iPhone, there was this app on there that was a memo app, and I could
Mhm.
record conversations to it. And so I record, tasks to myself or something that I couldn't remember. And then there was this little option you could email it, and I'm like, huh. I'm really
Yeah.
bad at responding. Let me try this out. So before I did video, that was actually what I did. I was actually recording my audio, my audio response, and then attaching that to an email and sending that. That's what pushed me into doing video, because I was one step away. I was one step away from doing video, right? But to your point,
Oh, that's cool.
100% right. It's utilizing that technology and moving towards the experience.
Well, and the whole thing too with spelling. I mean, look, everybody loves to be perfect spellers, right? I mean, and,
It's
and
true.
like I said, well, if you do the less is more approach and you're using voice recognition, I mean, Jason, I mean, I'll go in there and I'll use my voice recognition when I'm texting somebody, and it's wrong, right?
hmm
You've done that. I mean,
Oh
we
yeah,
all have. I mean,
100%.
this is what I call one of the things I love to
Some of
teach
them are
is get rid
embarrassing.
of head trash. Head trash is a terminology typically that I love to teach on. It's preventing us to do it, that what we want to do. So, for example, I don't want to do video because my customer doesn't want to see me on video, or I don't look very good. So I'm just not going to do the video. There's also a thing out there called perfect trash that I like to say. And because we're not in a perfect world, we may be doing this, podcast, and my dog could bark anytime. And you know what? I'm okay with it because life isn't perfect.
Yep.
And the fact that I may spell check it, at least, and I may do misspelling, it's okay. At least it's more of a human approach than it is a template approach with, like you're saying, like 5-6 paragraph that nobody's going to read.
No, it's so true. I actually have a great example of that. I have a dealership that use authentic walkarounds, right? And it's a video app to record and bring it in. And the way they have it kind of set up is they get to review the video, management does, before it gets sent out. Well, at least that's typically how the process goes. Well, here's an example where this didn't happen. And a salesperson recorded a video, and at some point in time during the video, dropped the camera, said, "Oh shit," picked up the camera and kind of kept going.
Yeah.
And that was the video that they accidentally attached and sent out. But the
Probably went
funny
viral.
thing is that was what was one of the reasons why the customer actually he goes, "Dude, that was hilarious. Did you know you sent
Yeah.
me that?" Then the salesperson was red in the face and going, oh my God, I can't believe I said that. I can't believe I sent it." But it was just a real person. You made a mistake. When you drop your phone, you say, "Oh shit," that's what happens.
But no, that's what's great. I mean, is I stage bloopers when
It's
I
the
do a
best,
video,
isn't it?
just because, again, it's showing that we're not perfect. I mean, I've seen guys where they walk up to the car and the car is locked, and you'll love this one. They open up the car door and they'll say like, "Oh shit," or something. The car's locked. And what they do is they take the phone and they just put it right up to the window of this. It's hysterical. But you know what? You're showing the inside of the car, but it's
Exactly.
just funny because the car, you couldn't even take your keys out. And, that's one of the things I love to talk about is if you can stage bloopers like that and get a reaction from the customer and get the customer to engage, it just shows you're human.
It does. It really does. It shows that we're human. And like I said, at the end of the day, that's utilizing tech to create an experience, and the experience through excuse me, through connecting with another person. Now, kind of going on that same direction as far as our conversation goes here of technology and how that generates experience. Let's talk a little bit about this thing of digital retelling. God, actually, oh, it just tastes bad when I say it out loud like that. I really
Right.
can't. I don't like the word itself. And you define digital retelling in a very way. How would you, if you used one word, how would you define digital retelling?
Soda. All right, it's soda. It's what kind of soda do you like, Jason? Mountain Dew, Pepsi, Coke,
Exactly.
Dr. Pepper. So digital retailing, by my, what I've been talking about, because it is one form. The way that everybody talks about digital retailing is numbers on the website.
Yep.
And nobody, even right now, starting today, I mean, I go out there, I ask how many dealers, how many customers are going start to finish using your digital retailing tool, and it's probably less than 5%. And that's being generous, because I think it's still very early, for that. And I think what digital retailing, to me, by my definition, is the customer is not in your showroom and you're doing a part of the transaction while they're in their home in their pajamas. You're making it easy for the customer. So that could be a trade appraisal. That could be F&I. It could be anything that you want. It could be showing the proposals. It could be going through the credit app process, because they filled out a credit app and it was all jacked up when it came into your store, and you want to schedule a live room meeting and interview them about their credit app. What part of the process are you going to make it easy for the customer when they can do it at home, at work, wherever they're at, and you're doing that part of the transaction to minimize that customer's time in the store?
You know what? Digital retailing, for me, and I love the way that you kind of described it there. You know what? For me, it's a process. It's an operational process before it ever becomes a widget. And it drives me nuts. My Mitsubishi dealership that I had about 6 years ago. We were doing digital retailing. From coming online into the dealership and moving forward. And if you want, you could do it online. You could do it all online, right? But we didn't call it digital retailing. We had no idea what the heck it was called. When you came in offline, you came inline to the dealership. That was kind of, we wanted to keep the entire process moving along. So it was a process, not necessarily a widget. Now, once we've developed out the process and we felt comfortable, like this is what it could look like if someone wanted to buy online, or if someone wanted to take it to step 4 of the sales process and then get into the dealership and execute the rest of the steps, right? We wanted to build out a process that would work both ways, so people could decide how far they wanted to go online, stop, and then come in, or complete the entire thing. But once we developed the process, then we worked backwards towards the technology. And what drives me nuts today is that we're relying on the technology to define what the process is. And I feel like it's a backwards way of doing it. And I'd love to kind of get your thoughts on this too. It's just, process before tech.
And again, you got to know the customers too. I mean,
sure.
To say I got my Harry Potter magic wand here and I put a digital retailing tool on my website that it's going to just flood. It's not accurate. And I think, especially with us being, a CRM company, you could do everything you want digital retailing within your own CRM. That's just a fact. I mean, but, if a customer does want to do it all on the website, they can do it on the website if the customer chooses to. I think a lot of customers are probably a little skittish. I mean, that's why the numbers aren't jiving right now. So I think there's some things. But the fact is, could you do it all on the website? Man, I'm all for it. If you can make it, that's the way the customer wants to go, then man, help them through it. Maybe schedule a Zoom meeting. Say, hey, I'm going to get you on my website, Mr. Customer. I'm going to walk you through and tour you through my website so you can do this all very easily. Why aren't we doing that?
No, 100%. And you know what? I'm finding that it comes down to it. Look, digital retailing, and we've kind of said this. It's just not. It's not a plugin. It goes deeper sometimes even than the process. It's a fundamental culture change. It is, if you're really going to embrace what digital retailing is a fundamental culture and branding shift within your business. And, I don't see a lot of dealerships. I've only seen a handful of dealerships, really make that mind shift change around their operations and their communications to lean towards a digital retailing, environment, because it does. It changes all. The way I talk to them, the syntax and way I talk to them, the technologies that I'm going to use, for example, even all the way down to the meet and greet. Like at my dealership, our meet and greet was, hey, welcome to Cambridge Mitsubishi. My name is Jason. All right. My job is to provide you a unique and innovative, hassle-free experience. And those were the two words that gave birth to all of our processes. We wanted to be innovative and hassle-free. We didn't know that's what digital retailing was at the time. But it was a culture change. It was an entire change. It was like everything we did, every process that we had in the dealership had to go back to those two pillars. Is this innovative, and does this remove hassle from the purchasing buying experience. Only then did I actually feel we were executing what's now called digital retailing.
Well, and here I'll give you another analogy that may hit your audience up. But I like to call dealers is, do you operate yourself like a McDonald's with no drive-through? And, at the end of the day, you got to think, now McDonald's has 2 drive-through lanes or wherever I go, it's just kind of interesting. And then have you ever seen a McDonald's with their drive-through under construction during the day?
Exactly.
And the answer is no, they do it at night. And if they did do it during the day, you're going to be going to Burger King across the street because nobody wants to get out of the car, right, Jason?
Yep, 100%.
And that's what I mean. We have so many different ways of buying pizza or, going to McDonald's. You can go up and, once everything opens up, you can go in there, go to the kiosk and order your own food, not even have to talk to somebody if that's what you want to do.
Yep.
So there's all these different ways of buying. And that's all I think that's what we're trying to say from our perspective is helping our dealerships is provide a different channel. Right now, dealerships operate on a 1-lane highway. Mm-hmm. How do you get to 2 lanes? How do you get to 3 lanes or 4 lanes and make it easier and open up those lanes is your digital retailing to keep that customer get 1 aspect, 2 aspects, get part of the process of what the customer has to do to buy a car, make it easy for them. And that's what opening up all the different lanes is. And I just think if a dealership, it's got to come from the leadership team. They got to listen to the customers. And Jason, you're a marketing guy. You probably can appreciate this term. And I've learned this in other industries I was in. I don't really think automotive understands it, but there's a term called upstream marketing.
Yes.
How many people talk about upstream marketing in automotive?
In our business, not at all.
Not at all. And that's what we're talking about is adapting processes given what the customer is doing today.
That's right.
And, in the clubhouse, otherwise known as Crack House, right, Jason?
Yep, exactly.
They were talking about Chick-fil-A. Jonathan Dawson was talking about Chick-fil-A. And they said our in-store buying experience was great. And they wanted to make the best buying experience going through the drive-thru, which I thought was amazing because you go through their drive-thru and they're the only ones doing what they're doing in their drive-thru. And now people are talking about it. Just imagine if you do something digitally and we listen to our customers and we create an upstream marketing process for a part of the digital retailing process. It could be, hey, I'm going to send you this live link and we're going to do a virtual meeting. I'm going to appraise your car. You don't have to come in for me to appraise your car, Mr. Customer. Do you think that would get out to their friends and family? The answer is yes. Mm-hmm. It just is. And that's what we have to do. We have to implement upstream marketing and listen to the customers more importantly now than ever, because that's what's going to brand you differently. There's Shop Automotive here in Denver, Colorado. Imagine this, Jason. Mm-hmm. Go back to one of your stores and say, how many virtual appointments did you schedule this month? What if I told you that the automotive group at Shop Automotive did 25% of their appointments virtually? And you did Zippo. You think you're losing opportunities, and you and I both know the answer is yes.
Oh, 100%. And you know what it comes down to? I was talking to someone actually in Clubhouse again, where we used kind of this methodology, this mindset that dealers need to get into is that they're no longer in the car business, they're in the experience business. All right. Once you understand that you're selling experiences and you're not selling metal, it fundamentally just changes your approach to culture, your approach to technology. And that's where some amazing things have happened. And there have been some dealerships that have done that. Brian Benstock is an amazing example of that, right? I don't think Brian sells cars. I just don't. We're trying to schedule a podcast together and he might disagree with me, but I think Brian sells experiences. The car is just a byproduct of it.
He makes it all about the customer. It's what he's doing. And what's funny is he's sharing a secret sauce on how to do it, and nobody wants to do it. I mean, I don't know too many dealerships that are doing what he's doing. So hats off to him, and he's willing to share that information. I always give him props on that. But the other thing too is, and I'll give another parallel, when people go outside the box, like what Brian Benstock has done, along with other dealerships like a Shop Automotive and some of these other dealerships. Yep. I will tell you, like at DriveCentric, one of the things we did, imagine this, Jason, we were the first CRM 4 years ago to start doing remote launching. How do you think that went over if you're a dealer?
Yeah, probably not well at all. Do they look at you cross-eyed when you did
But
it?
they got the hot flashes. Okay, I've never seen so many men get hot flashes. All right, but even in Canada. But you know what? We're 4 years later, and we're branded because our CRM is so easy. You can do remote launches.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So we took a chance, we did it, and now we're reaping the benefits of it. You know what I mean? So if you go out there, people understand, man, these guys do remote launches, and they may frown upon that because they're used to everybody being in the dealership. Nobody goes in there and launches Facebook, Google, or Messenger at a store.
No.
I mean, that's the way we have to look at it. So anyway, we took a chance, it paid off, and I guarantee you, dealers listen to their customers and they start thinking in terms of taking some of that, the process of doing the transaction with the customer remotely, huge dividends to this dealership, no doubt.
It is, but I think the key to getting this done is to be intentional. And it comes to your point. You said this earlier. You said it kind of multiple times throughout our conversation. It's a top-down scenario here, right? Like you are not. It's a mind shift, but it's an intentional mind shift. All right, that's going to get you to the place where you can actually really execute, proper engagement strategies and real digital retailing, and real unique lead response syntax. Man, we've covered so many amazing topics during this podcast, and I know it's getting towards the tail end of our time, and I'm pretty confident we'll probably extend this conversation into a clubhouse room right after this.
We will, I'm sure.
I'm sure we will. But before I let you go, though, for everybody that's out there watching and listening right now and would love to connect with you and your company and kind of follow along with your guys' journey and learn more about yourself and your guys' business, what's the best way to do so?
Yeah, you can reach out to me at DriveCentric or Steve at DriveCentric.com. You can obviously follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn. We actually have a great YouTube channel. So if people want to start looking at videos, go to DriveCentric's YouTube channel. I've done actually what I call a personalized video challenge, and basically showing people how to do a confirm appointment video, things of that nature. So some really good educational videos on there, along with Video Gaga, where I'm rating videos. So
I've seen that. Those ones are fun.
I like to preach on video. So yeah, Video Gaga. You don't want to be video blah blah, Jason.
That's
but
awesome.
no, yeah, just reach out to me anytime. If there's a presentation, if you're trying to build the culture of video, I preach on video all the time. Love to help. Doesn't matter if you're on Drive or not. So
that's awesome. And you see, that's also, I think, one of the coolest things about you, man, is that your willingness just want to help, regardless if someone's utilizing your services. We connected that way, and because I'm under the same impression. I don't care if you're my client or not. We just have a fundamental passion for the industry, and whatever we can do to better it, we're there. We're just. Where do you want me?
Right? I just take the data and I implement it. I mean, and at the end of the day, that's what I'm passionate about. And when you secret shop stores, and Jason, maybe you're secret shopping stores, but a lot of times I used to secret shop a lot of stores and I got the same thing. I just got tired of it.
It's exhausting.
It's got to change.
It is exhausting. Hey, Steve, thank you so much for taking the time to jam with us today. This has been a blast. You have yourself an amazing day.
You got it.
Thanks for tuning in to the Strategy Mob Podcast with your host, Jason Harris. Don't want to miss new content? Be sure to sign up to Be a Mobster at strategymob.com to stay in the know. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe.